the idea of being able to access all my gear without having to call somebody to patch it or me going to patch it. When someone said that, I was like, this could be a dream. And then somehow I got a hold of somebody, email, or next thing you know, I'm talking to the guys and love their story. And they were like, we'll send you a unit and see what happens. And then here, Aaron, our tech, patched it up. And I was like, man, this is like incredible. And I had like 8 patch points, I think, in the beginning. I'm like, I wish I could have my whole everything, right? And then the Patch XT comes out and I'm like, oh my Lord. And I've been using it ever since. And I use it on every mix that I work on. Charlie's album, we're doing Her, we did the new Pusha T. I mean, everything that I work on. And I'm telling you, it's been used every day. For me, it just changed my life because I can actually now, before, if I wanted to use 3 different compressors on the vocal, right? I'd have to patch each one and bypass. I mean, it's a process, And when, I feel like the older I get, the more, quote, experience I get, the more hours, the 10,000, it's more like 30,000. I just want to move quickly. I mean, I think that's efficient. We always talk about the left brain, right brain on, which brain are you in? We need both, obviously. And for me, it's like being on the right brain, being that creative. You got to EQ this, and you want to move fast. And some of my peers will say the same, like we spend 10% of the time to finish 90% of a mix, but then we spend 90% of the time to finish the 10%, So in other words, just want to get those ideas out and those colors and something as simple as a vocal, and I'm able to audition 3 compressors that I preset already because I've been in this room for such a long time. And I go A, B, C, and I mean, just emotionally, not even sonically, you're like, that just, for whatever reason, just feels better. Like, and you just don't need to do anything to it. It's such an unfair advantage to be able to do that, because I'm able to do that with a lot of different, like a kick. Oh, I got a pull tick in a 1073, and without doing anything, almost just going through it, you're like, okay, that feels better. Now let me tweak it, right? So my workflow has forever changed. And if you were to ask me, hey, what's the one piece of gear that's changed, or plugin even, that's changed your workflow in the last whatever X amount of years, I mean, it's not even close. Not even close. I'm not just saying that, it's not even close. But this has changed my workflow tremendously. Like, I don't know if I could, live without it. It's funny because I've asked a lot of, I'm not going to say any names, but engineers, mixers, if budget was, was non-issue, budget or timing, would they stay in the box or would they go, 100% of them said they wouldn't be in the box. So look, the box is great. It's very convenient, right? But if we all had an option, I'm just blessed enough to be in a room where I can still work with the workflow that I learned when I was freaking 16, 17 years old, And it's so funny because I always talk about it, always to everyone. Everyone's like, hey, everyone's got like, what's your favorite plugin or favorite piece of gear you have? I'm like, shit, I got a lot of nice gear, but let me tell you, this Flock Audio is like, and it's so easy, man. I just drag and drop and, delete if I don't want it, put it out of the chain. I do some crazy chains that you would think would never work. Some of them, half of them work, the other half don't, and that's okay. But the ones that work, you just don't touch it. As a mixer, I can't stress enough that, you're kind of using colors. You're kind of painting with frequencies. Not kind of, you really are. Absolutely. And frequencies are emotions. So anything in this room has a certain tone, right? So knowing your equipment, I always say, look, even if you're in the box, just learn, 10 plugins. That's it. Out of the 1,000 that you have, just learn those 10, and you're good. And then maybe get to the 11th. And then once you master the 11th, then move. Yeah. So I feel like that's what it is. Now imagine discovering all these new tones that I haven't been able to do. I haven't been in my career that I haven't bridged like 20, maybe not 25, 7, 10 compressors, I don't think you would do that normally, but you can. And you can do it in seconds instead of like, fuck, I feel like we all have some ADD and you just want to move on. It's like, and if it's not, the idea is not there, then you just move on. It's like looking for patches, right? You like patches, and like you just, it takes a very special individual to sit there and sound design your patch. And listen, more power to you. For me, it's like, give me that patch. Oh, that's it. Now you can mess with it. Now you can whatever you need to do to shape it. But I'm not one to shape from the very, like from nothing to something. That's people that do a way better job. I just want to get that idea and like start shaping it. To be able to do that in like just clicks, just like that. Nobody's been able to do that before. So this is a new territory. Yeah, colors, man. It's I don't know if it's like having perfect pitch almost, right? I don't have perfect pitch, but I can imagine like having perfect pitch, like the Charlie Puths of the world. They can obviously locate any pitch, but then there's relative pitch. And when we went to, I was going to music theory, they would teach you intervals, like, Joss is a minor, a second, a perfect octave is somewhere over the rainbow, NBC is the fourth, or whatever. You find the relative pitch, right? And then you can kind of figure it out from there, right? I feel like me earlier in my career, I wanted to relate everything to a color, like because I feel like, in a way, there's some painting involved with frequencies, right? So if you feel like, silly example, like the Pultic is a dark brown, right? And you start to kind of do, what's that habit, like 16 times it becomes a habit or whatever, 20 times. I always wanted to create some sort of color, and it didn't mean that was the color, universal color for everyone. It's just for me, my perception of what that means, right? So now when I close my eyes and I'm mixing a song, I feel like, man, it's missing this color. I know exactly where to go, and I feel it was just my way of like, just finding different tools for that job. You gotta, relate it to something. And I feel like colors for me was like the easiest one to use. I love art, love visuals. So that was like a natural, thing to do. Our job is simple, is that. And I always say, don't fuck it up. It's like I'm working on a song right now and it's so noisy, but that's the vibe. Right. Now, if I wanted to clean it up, who am I to clean your mess up? That's on purpose, right? I feel like you always have whatever the purist or whatever they want to call themselves. I mean, there's always haters that they're always going to hate on stuff. Gosh, if I care about what people thought about my work, man, I'd be a pretty miserable person, because everybody will have an opinion. To me, look, man, that to me is all BS. Like, at the end of the day, none of that matters. What matters is like, do you want to listen to that song again? Does your body feel something? Does your mind kind of go somewhere else? Do you want to tap your foot? Do you want to punch freaking wall? Do you want to make love to someone? I mean, that's what we're going for. All the technical stuff, man, I'm just not interested in any of it, because it doesn't matter. Believe me, I would notice if there's a buzz that's not supposed to be there. Of course I would notice, and I'd call my tech, be like, something's not right. Mm-hmm. No, not at any moment have I heard anything that would require for me to call my tech and be like, something's not right. No, it's quite the opposite. Look, I am, so selective in what I talk about, really, because just because you have to. I would never ever talk about anything if I didn't believe 1,000, not 100%, even though 1,000 is not physically possible. But I believe in it so much, and I wouldn't be here talking about it if I didn't. So for me, I don't know, that's just a bunch of the 1% that don't matter. We're working for the 90, hopefully the 99% that hopefully will feel something from that product that's given to me, so that I can hopefully bring some to the table. I've been a client actually in this room. I feel like I've been in here for about, almost 30 years. And it's a historic room because it was Giorgio Moroder's room, where he's the one that took over, I believe, in 84-ish. Mm-hmm. 89, that's when Larrabee took over with Kevin Mills, the former owner. And their first project was Michael Jackson's Dangerous. So he lived here for a couple of years. Bruce Swedien, pretty sure mixed it in this room, different console, but Michael recorded it in Studio One. It's just, it's one of those sonic temples. When I was in my 20s, there were, maybe 80 of these, in LA. Now there's, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 that I can think of. So these type of rooms, man, they're just, they're numbered. Their days are numbered from the business side, like from not the art, but the commerce side of things. This is how I grew up, man. I grew up in rooms where I walk down the hall and I see artists, producers, engineers, and then you just get this incredible amount of inspiration, and you just can't put a number on that. I'll never forget first walking into this room. My buddy KD, Kevin Davis, was mixing in here, and Tricky Stewart and I were working with Babyface and Usher. And we were on our way to some bar, club, and we picked up KD in this room. And I'll never forget walking down those steps and walking into this room, and it was like love at first sight. From that moment on, and at the time we would go to different studios around town. I would travel a lot with my cases and all that. And I would go to Atlanta, New York a lot, and Miami, and I would take all my gear. So we would be in different studios in LA too. But I'll never forget the moment I stepped into this room. I thought, man, this is going to be my room someday. There's something about it. And I feel like when you're in tune with those feelings and emotions and all that, and I hope that we all are to a certain extent, I just couldn't get it out of my head, and I made it my point to be in a room like this. Larrabee has such a great legacy, way before me. It's been around for, I want to say 56, maybe 57th year now. And you can imagine the amount of hits or artists that have been through here. So when you walk down the hallway, you can just feel it. And then you walk into a room like this and you really, really feel it. So yeah, I'm truly blessed that I'm even in a room like this. When you have your setup and tools and you bring it up and it's always the same, like you have your bass chain and your drum chain and all that, the template, to me, that's just being lazy, right? But we all get lazy. So I feel like this is a good way to I've always been very conscious about never ever relying on templates. Because look, I've worked on so many songs and none of them are exactly the same. So why would I use a template, right? And I think, sure, maybe you use these are the reverbs that you're using or delays. That's different. But if you got like that bass template and this is what I always do on the vocal, this is what I feel like eventually you're just gonna form bad habits and you're just gonna shoot yourself in the foot before you know it. That's not cool anymore and you're not gonna be able to adapt. So my thing has always been like, let me start with nothing, like from scratch, every mix. So I feel like that's my approach. Like, let me taste that dish and see if it needs anything. Hey, sometimes I get the dish that's perfect. And it's like, and now the mind game starts like, okay, don't screw it up, because my ego's going to get in the way. My ego's going to be like, well, I haven't done enough to this track. Like, well, that's not our job. Our job is just simple, man. It's like, hey, what is that person? What's their vision? And you're just trying to help their vision. And we want to be the Flock Audio Studio 100%, man, and people could come in, they can see it and they can do it themselves. And that's the reason why I'm doing this, because I would love for more people to find out about it and hear it from at least a mixer's, the horse's mouth, that it will change your workflow.